right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Arnoldo's Banquet Center, and welcome to the induction ceremony on our 2024 Hall of Fame banquet. We have a very special evening tonight as we're going to welcome 4 new members into our prestigious Hall of Fame. As is the tradition to kick things off every year, our acting principal, Mr. Stevenson, who founded this Hall of Fame, did this, or now our principal, Ms. Jessica Schultz, will welcome everyone tonight. Come on up, Ms. Schultz.
I was just saying to my table, I feel like I'm living a little bit of a country song today or something. So I got home and my dog ate my shoe, so it's fantastic. And it just gets better from there. So anyways, I have the privilege of welcoming everybody this evening, and hopefully everyone can hear. Put my principal voice on if you can't. So I do always get the privilege every year for the last 9 years to welcome everyone to this ceremony. Minus that whole COVID year, that was weird, but it's been really, really nice to get a glimpse into the history of things that really make Carlson what it is today. So I feel like every year I get to add another layer of, oh, there's that person, or that's the one that they talk about. And pretty soon I'm going to be in the, I guess, era of, I'm like, I maybe was that person that they talked about. I don't know. So first, I would like to welcome our current Hall of Fame inductees. I kind of struggle with this sometimes because we have so many of them, so if I miss you and I didn't see you in the room, I'm sorry. I promise that we'll do our best. This is one of the biggest ones that we've had. So this evening we have Dave Baker, Scott Dennison, Don Hicks, Mike Hunter, Rob Molnar, Carol Prodzik, Kelly Scheffler, Brenda Greer, I think Sherry Donaldson is here somewhere. Let's see, Greg Wiseman. I'm hoping I didn't miss anybody. If I did, I really apologize. But the nice part about this ceremony is that we have so many people who actually really are supporting one another. And so we just get to, again, keep adding layers to that. Every year I do talk about our inductees, and so I will do that. But first I'd like to welcome also our superintendent, Amy Conway, who's joined us, as well as members of, or it looks like we have Miss Lisa Darvell. She's a member of our Gibraltar School District Board of Education, and I think Mr. Paul Panter is back there as well. And so we appreciate you coming to attend for this as well. So tonight our Hall of Fame will induct 4 new inductees to join the ranks of those who've left their mark on Carlson High School, really the place that so many of us have had the privilege to call home in some way, shape, or form. So whether you are a grad, whether you are an employee, whether you were both, Brenda, and so many, it's really nice to be able to bring everyone together and see so many faces of what makes Carlson such a special place and community. I hope that as I introduce briefly, because I told Mike that I will do my best to not steal thunder this year, so I hope that as I introduce, you'll have a sense of our 4 new inductees, sense of accomplishments and why they are so deserving of this place in our Hall of Fame. So our first inductee this evening, and if I say your name, if you could just kind of at least do like a half stand, maybe like the kids do, like just like kind of this or something, that would be great. We have some students in the room, I think, who could model that for you. So our first inductee, though, is Mr. Dino Gazi. So Mr. Guzzi is a CHS grad and was a 3-sport athlete who went on to box professionally. And so I'm not looking for any dark alleys with him or anything like that. But really, he was a trailblazer in terms of bringing about professional sports athletes who've come out of Carlson. He was the first, and went on to win a Golden Glove Award in 1976. And continues to live in our community, raises children who are here, who both have gone through the Gibraltar School District, and now is working, you know, as a private eye, I think is what it said on there, as well. And so he's our first inductee. If we continue on with excellence, though, in athletics, our next inductee is Miss Cindy Parvano. Ms. Parvano's list of accolades, really honestly, the list was extensive. I could probably talk while you're eating, continue to talk as we continue through. I know that's probably not what you've signed up for, so I'm just gonna do my very best to put my English skills on and summarize. So Ms. Parvano is also a CHS grad, also an athlete, who went on to find excellence in coaching at multiple levels and really has demonstrated a commitment to shaping kids' lives in education, whether that's through coaching, teaching, administration. Regardless of the role, she really has broken barriers and held many firsts as a female. And so that's something that as a female leader, I think is very admirable. Next up is Mr. William Stevenson. Mr. Stevenson actually was at Carlson right before I came. I shouldn't say right before, a long time before I came. And really was incredibly gracious and kind to me in that transition. And really was an integral part of starting this, you know, so really being able to honor what it means to be a part of the Carlson community and contribute. You know, one of the things that I hear over and over is that Bill really created an environment of family at Carlson and was very well loved. He had a vision of the city on the hill, that Carlson was going to be a city on a hill. And one of the things that, you know, we all can aspire to is that he has spent much of his retired life giving back to communities in the Downriver area through philanthropic organizations, some of which he started. It's not uncommon to see him around and really helping out. And, you know, a lot of it goes towards supporting children. And so it's really comforting to me, who hopes at some point I can retire, to know that it really is so much out there, and you really can find opportunities to still continue to support students in your community. And so that's something that, you know, it rings very true for Mr. Stevenson. And finally, our last inductee, Mr. John Swearingen, who I appreciate his family here. Unfortunately, we did lose John just this past week, and it's a difficult time for you. And so one of the things that you know, I hear and have learned about John is that he's considered a CHS employee, but we just didn't pay him. So I didn't really think that was an option. I hope it's still not an option. Right, we're gonna just keep that in the room. So, you know, he worked as a scoreboard operator for so many different sports for over 20 years, and also contributed his talents to umpiring and as an official, in particular in baseball and softball. And really, you know, it's one thing to say, I'm gonna do the scoreboard like for a night, right? Or I'll pick it up every once in a while. And I think Brenda's out there and knows what that feels like, right? And it's a whole nother thing to say, I'm going to do season after season, sport after sport, and it's fine. I don't really need much. Just, you know, throw me a smile or a bone. And that's what I heard about John. And what I really appreciate is that his selflessness really allowed for so many CHS students to start and continue their paths to excellence in athletics. Because if you don't have somebody who's willing to support running the game, you don't have a game. And so, you know, I think that we have so very deserving inductees tonight, and I'm appreciative of all of the support in the room. And once again, want to congratulate all of our inductees and thank you for helping us build, continue to build Marauder pride and traditions, and I hope everyone enjoys this evening's ceremony.
Dinner was delicious as promised, so I'm a man of my word. Thank you to the staff of Arnaldo's for once again doing a great job. Just really quickly, how this is going to work, I'm going to give a little background on the Hall of Fame, and then I'm going to give a background on each of our new members. After I give a little background on our first member, we'll call them up. I've been instructed by our photographer, I'm going to have the plaque. We're going to stand over here off to my right and get a nice snapshot with me holding the plaque, handing it to you. As good of the pictures can be with me in it, we'll hand it there, and then the microphone's all yours. And I've talked to some people already. Say whatever you like. The microphone is yours. There's no hook or anything like that. No, there's no band in the background that's going to start playing music after 4 minutes or anything like that. So, just some background on the Carlson High School Hall of Fame. As mentioned earlier, in 2012, it actually took Mr. Stevenson and I a couple of years of research and planning. We went and searched around various districts to see what they did, and we found most of the schools in the area had an athletic Hall of Fame, which is great. But we felt that, and athletes are very important and great, and we have a couple great athletes that are coming in, but we felt that we wanted to sort of make a three-pronged approach of athletes, former employees, and general alumni, and that is what we created, and it's very unique, I think. And the reason we did this, I'm a 93 grad, and we have some 93 grads in the house. Might be a record for we got 4, I think, in the house tonight. So, when I first started working back at Carlson, which I never thought in a million years would happen, when I was, you know, I tell we have a group of students back there. I said, you know, when they start telling, and I know we have a lot of educators like, oh, when you guys start career planning and career. When I was 15 or 16 years old at Carlson, I did not say one day I'm going to be a librarian at Carlson High School. All right, so I don't know why we do all this career planning at 15 and 16, and that was back in the 90s. Now the jobs, there's even jobs now that are even like, whatever that's. But one thing I heard when I came back in 98, 99, 2000 was a sort of like some mocking of Carlson as an education from my own students, and I'd get really angry and get really upset because I knew people that I went to school with that had done great things, that were doing great things, but I would tell them, and of course, kids are like, yeah, whatever, right? Like, that's what kids do. Who's this old guy telling us that these people do these great things? And so that is why we wanted to form this Hall of Fame. I know in my household alone, my 2 sisters went on to obtain college degrees and have done great things. My wife and her 2 sisters, one's a doctor. Very proud of what we have accomplished, and we could not have done it without the great teachers and classmates we had at Carlson. So that is why it was important to start it. And so I want to thank my committee that helps put this on. So if you're one of the committee members that are here today, can you please just give a wave out to the audience, please? Thank you. Yes. And yes, they do a great job. Looking at the applications is not easy. We have our meetings. Putting this event on is not easy, and I don't do it alone. So thank you to them. Thank you to the administration that supports this event. I want to thank our students that are here, the Carlson High School Student Council members that are here. They help organize this and fund this. This is this is an event that is part of our program, and that is why they are here as well. So welcome to them. Welcome to all of our guests. Welcome to current members of the Hall of Fame, our newest members of the Hall of Fame. I'm so happy to have you all here for another great event. So with that, it is time to start inducting our new class. Now, again, Ms. Schultz did a great job, and I think I have a few things that I can sneak in. I laughed when she mentioned I should have had Mr. Guzzi investigate everybody and give me a real good bios. Or maybe not, I don't know. But he is our first inductee, as mentioned, a 1975 alumnus, 3-sport varsity athlete, football, basketball, and baseball, 1975 Athlete of the Year. Working in school, we heard a lot, from some of our old timers, I'll mention names like Dale Krieger. I would hear a lot about some of the great athletes, and the two names that I always heard a lot were Joe Drennan and Dino Guzzi. Those were the two names of athletes that in the teacher's lounge, that's what everyone would say and talk about these guys. He was also, as mentioned, after high school, went on to become a professional boxer. Like many have said, maybe our first pro athlete, Golden Gloves, 1976, and then I believe hosted a match that took place at Carlson High School. Was it the current gym or the Shoemate gym? The new gym at 1980 Carlson High School. I saw someone posted pictures on a Facebook page and tagged him, and I'm like, that looks like the current gym, but I wasn't for sure, so now I know. So yeah, we've had a professional boxing match there, and I remember from my time in the 90s there was professional wrestling once in there. The Bushwhackers wrestled there. I remember that for some reason. But an outstanding athlete and an outstanding man, and I just want to say that the phone calls I've had these last 2 weeks have been they've made me happy. He's so excited to be inducted into this Hall of Fame, and so I don't need to talk anymore. Let's bring him on up. Congratulations, Mr. Dino Guzzi.
Oh, I'm not good at this. Anyway, to the Swearinger family, my condolences. I knew John. I grew up with John. He was always at baseball games, any Rockwood festivity. A good man, and he'll be duly missed. Congratulations, Cynthia and William. This is terrific. This will look good on a resume, I feel. The rumor that I walked 5 miles in the snow to school is not true. It was 3 miles. Now, playing sports for Carlson in my high school career was awesome. I was lucky enough to have terrific coaches that not only worried about how well you played, but how well you did in the classroom, and that was a terrific way to grow up. And what really I remember is some of the guys that I played with. 3 of them we've lost that were part of a championship basketball team in 1975. Joe Drennan, Norm Ostrike, and Brian Cummings. We lost them way too soon. Our baseball team in 1975, what I remember is the beginning of the season. Before we even started, Coach Lefevre brought all the seniors one by one into his office. He had heard about the senior trip that we were going to the Bahamas. Unfortunately, he knew that was going to fall between the last game of the season and the beginning of the state tournament. The group would be leaving on a Saturday. The state tournament would start on a Monday. So he told us how special this season was going to be. It was our choice if we were going to stay or not. So all of us did decide to stay. And I remember that Monday game, we got knocked out the first game, and one of my players came up to me and says, "Let's go." And I said, "Go where?" He goes, "I'll drive, I just need gas money." "To where?" "The Bahamas." Okay. His name and his geography teacher will not be mentioned. But what sports at Carlson set me up for was how to put everything you got into a sport. And I was always fascinated by boxing. And mind you, I'm a 17-year-old kid, just graduated from high school, and I'm going to make a decision. Am I going to go play college baseball, or am I going to follow a dream? And I followed that dream. And as an amateur, I was 56-3, 3 Golden Glove titles, and a state AAU championship. And that was pretty terrific. I took about 3 months off after that amateur career to decide whether I was going to turn professional or not. And I had Emmanuel Stewart of the Cronk Gym talk to me personally and said, "I have the talent to do it. You'd probably become a better professional boxer than you were an amateur boxer." So I took his advice. We finished with a 19-1 record. My only loss was on my 8th fight. We were in Atlantic City at the Tropicana Hotel and Casino. It was scheduled 6-round fight. It was nationally televised. We thought we won the fight by a decision. I almost knocked him out in the 2nd round. The decision went to Arthur Breeze Bayless, a name I'll never forget. A few weeks later, Ring Magazine, which was the Bible of boxing, came out with an article about that fight and said the 3 blind mice are alive and well judging fights in Atlantic City. So we got a little bit of reprieve there. At Joe Louis Arena, I got to meet Jake LaMotta. He was at ringside. My trainer, Al DiNapoli, was one of Jake's trainers back in the 40s and 50s. He introduced me. Jake put his hand out, said, "You don't look like a boxer." And I said, "Thank you, you do." Anyway, this is a great thing. This is terrific. I appreciate it. As an athlete, I've never really looked back and said, "Hey, I did this, I did that," up until this. And I said, "You know what? We didn't do too bad. You know, I'm up here and I can talk. That's a good thing." But anyway, thank you, everybody. I'd like to thank my mom, who every fight I had, I got on the phone afterwards and called her and told her I was fine. Again, family, friends, anybody that bet against me, I'm sorry. But thank you guys so much. Scott Martin, a special thank you to you, and you know why. Okay? Hey, to my boys, I think Mom's smiling up there. All right? Thank you.
Our next inductee, Miss Cindy Parvano, is a 1986 alumna, a 3-sport athlete, 4 years of varsity softball, 4 years of varsity volleyball, 3 years of varsity basketball. Like Ms. Schultz said in her introduction, if we were to start listing all the awards, we might not make it out of here before the contractual time. Numerous MVP and all downriver, all Monroe County awards, including a Pinnacle 1986 All-State softball player designation. What really struck out to me on her resume, and she did go on to play college athletics as well, was her career movement across the country and involvement in education and coaching throughout that career. And I talked to her for a few minutes before we started. It's something, and we have many coaches in this room, I know, and I talked to coaches, we're a little crazy, all right? Before I came to this, I was at a middle school track practice which was combined with a high school track practice, waiting for a soccer game to start, all in one facility. And there's probably about 400 kids out there, all trying to do some sort of different athletic event. And I thought, and I looked around and I'm like, who else would do this other than fools in education? Like, no, if you went out to some regular person and said, hey, I got this job for you, there's going to be 400 kids running around a complex, all doing different things. We'll give you like 3 coaches. Don't worry, you can handle it. But somehow it works every year, and the events work. And that's what I noticed out of her resume, that wherever she went, she wanted to be involved and help and work with children. And that's that combined that with her outstanding athletic career, a welcome addition to our Hall of Fame. So congratulations. Come on up, Cindy. Congratulations.
Well, I had to write everything down, otherwise I'd forget. So greetings, and thank you all for being here tonight. I would like to thank my sister Carolyn for making this nomination, and the Carlson High School Hall of Fame Committee for their consideration and selection into the 2024 Hall of Fame. It is truly an honor to be here tonight. I would be remiss if I didn't start off by thanking the late Mr. Crane, my 6th grade teacher at Weiss Elementary. Gosh, I didn't think I'd be emotional. This is emotional. I started out at Weiss as a 5th grader, and having just moved to the area with my family, Mr. Crane saw some athletic ability in me and encouraged me to participate in organized athletics. It started with a simple invitation to play basketball at lunch as the first girl that was only allowed to play with all the boys in the gym, and I was hooked. I was drawn to athletics because school and everything academic was a struggle for me. But when I got onto the court or when I got onto the field, it just came naturally, and like it was that time frame in my life that I believe was the catalyst for what happened at Carlson. I was blessed to be able to participate in multiple sports, both at the JV and varsity levels, and my life was influenced by 5 coaches. Mr. Keaty, who was my JV basketball coach, Mr. Krolak, my varsity basketball coach, the late Mrs. Bache, my volleyball coach, and Mr. Stover and the late Mr. Goodhue, who were my varsity softball coaches. I want to thank these coaches who sacrificed personal time with their families to ensure that we were prepared for some of the toughest competition in the Huron League. While all of these coaches impacted my life, the one coach who I felt the most connected to and had the most fun with was Mr. Goodhue. He had a gentle way with us, but yet pushed us to be our very best. I will forever be grateful to him for believing me as a freshman and coaching me for 4 years. If there was any one coach who I wish who could be here tonight, it would be Mr. Goodhue. To say he was my favorite coach of all times is an understatement. Come to think of it, if he were here tonight, he would say something like this to me. Paravano, with the way you played against Grosjean, I'm surprised you're not being inducted into their Hall of Fame. During my first 3 seasons on the softball team, we accumulated a 56-16 record. What is most amazing about that record is that we had a total of 4 pitchers during those 3 years. One of them is credited with a 1-1 record, and the remaining games were credited to Amy Walker. That's right, in 3 years, she had a 50-15 record. She was an amazing pitcher, and I loved being her catcher. If you're not familiar with softball at Carlson in the 80s, we didn't play on the nice turf that they play on now. Nope, we played our home games off-site on the corner of Allen and Gibraltar on a dirt field designed for slow pitch with a 300-foot fence. For a power hitter like me, that was a good thing. I had a good swing and I could pound the ball a country mile. Truth be told, I had to hit the ball a country mile. I recall one game as a sophomore where I hit the ball out to the fence, and I'm running to first base, rounding first base, trying to determine if I can make it to second before they throw me out. I can hear Mr. Goodhue on third base yelling, "Drop the caboose!" I stayed at first. And then a couple hitters later, I get over to third base, and he looks at me and he says, Paravano, you're the only person I know who can hit a home run and stretch it into a single. I was known for my arm and for my bat, but not for my speed. One of the things I reflected on the most as I was preparing for tonight was the second criteria for acceptance into the Hall of Fame. It reads, the candidate had an exceptional career in at least one HSSA-sanctioned sport while attending Carlson High School. I'm here tonight because the committee must have felt I met this criteria. But that isn't what I focus on when I think about my playing days or what was accomplished at Carlson. I think about the exceptional friendships I made on the field with both my teammates and those I played against. There was a sisterhood created among us that bonded us together. What I found to be exceptional were the lessons I learned on the field that have helped me in my life and my career, such as if you are early, you're on time, and if you're on time, you're late, and if you're late, you're running gutbusters, something like that. It was at Carlson where I learned the value of putting in hard work, how to first follow and then to lead. I learned that while winning isn't everything, it sure is nice. I learned how to work together with others to accomplish a goal, and I learned how to give my best no matter the circumstances. I also learned that there is no I in team, but there is a me, and I want to be clear with that lesson. I don't think I was the one who made the team. I believe it was the team that made me. It was easy to be good when I was surrounded by some of the most talented and amazing teammates who were examples of hard work, dedication, commitment, perseverance, and excellence. The 80s teams were filled with these types of players. But I will specifically mention two athletes who I believe are, not were, but are the best overall female athletes to graduate from Carlson. Monique Wolf, who was from the class of 1984, and Amy Walker, who was from the class of 1985. Both of them were leaders and excelled in every sport they played. I was blessed to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with them as we competed. I was proud to wear the Marauder colors of royal blue and white. I was proud to put on the uniform and represent the school, and I was proud of what we accomplished together as a team. In closing, I want to thank my former teammates, Wendy, Michelle, Melissa, and Amy for being here tonight. The memories I have of our time on the court or on the field remain with me to this day. We may not see each other often, but I think of those times together and I remember them fondly. Thank you to my mom and dad for your constant support and encouragement to do the best I could, both on and off the court. You sat through way too many games and injuries to count, as well as all the drama that came along with high school athletics. Thank you to the rest of my family, Andrew, Carolyn, James, and Danny, and my friends Joe, both of you, Joyce, Lisa, Beth, Mo, and Holly, and Shelley for being here tonight. Your support and being here tonight for this celebration means the world to me. Thank you once again for this incredible honor. I am truly humbled and deeply grateful. Thank you.
All right, next up, as mentioned earlier, Mr. William Stevenson, a co-founder of this Hall of Fame, a longtime coach, educator, and administrator in the entire Downriver area, Grozio to Woodhaven to Carlson High School. I knew Bill even before he came to Carlson as administrator through my experience coaching varsity track at Grozio. I was just when I first started, like 22, 23-year-old, I had no idea what was going on. I'm a 49-year-old, 48-year-old that doesn't know what's going on that much now either, but back then I definitely didn't, and Bill and the Grozio family opened their arms to me and taught me a lot, and that's when I had those first experiences. I'm like, man, they could, because believe me, in this downriver area of coaches, not everyone's like that. Not everyone is like so welcoming. So that was my first interaction. I was fortunate enough for him to come and be my boss at Carlson High School and help find this Hall of Fame. Spent many years evaluating my performance of, as he puts it, dusting the plants in the Carlson Library. That was on my checklist. We don't have any plants in the Carlson Library, but if we did, they'd be well dusted. He enjoys retirement now, retired in 2015, but as mentioned earlier, still very active. You'll see him often at track meets, cross-country meets, which is a great thing to see, and very active on Groseal and his community. It is my honor to induct Mr. William Stevenson in the Carlson High School Hall of Fame.
First off, before I begin, I want to give our condolences to the family of Mr. Schweringen. When I first came there, I thought he was getting paid, and but certainly he was a fixture for all sports, and I know his dedication to kids and to the community that he served. So we certainly want to give our thanks and our condolences in that regard. I also want to let people know too that our hearts still go out to the Peyote family on the loss of Mike's dad and Chris's husband, their family, about a month ago. So there's and he, I know, was here in spirit. He was probably at every Carlson event that I think I ever went to, okay? And so Nick Peyote was just awesome, and obviously it shows in the family that he raised. I'm totally honored, and and I'm not going to cry, I promise, but I'm totally humbled by this experience, okay? When I first told my family that I was going to be inducted into the Carlson Hall of Fame, they were kind of surprised, and then they were kind of like, I don't know if the word shocked was going to be, but they made a phone call to Mr. Peyote, and they really wanted to know if this is true, that Bill's going to get into the Hall of Fame, and we need verification. So I believe one of my sisters, Carolyn or Mary Ellen, who are here with me, and their daughters, it was a question of, can we get a recount? Okay. And then I think it was Mary Ellen who mentioned something about, well, maybe we need to, maybe the committee needs to be examined, and we're accusing them perhaps of like some widespread voter, but that's not the case. Okay, I certainly want to thank the committee for their diligence and hard work in this. And I want to thank Mike Peyote and Brenda, and this looks like a faculty meeting for me, okay? So it's kind of like this is, so if we have an agenda after the meeting, we need to get some stuff done, certainly we can do that. But again, I want to thank them, and I want to give Mike Peyote and all the committee a big round of applause. I certainly want to thank and congratulate all the other members of the Hall of Fame, the inductees today, and for that matter, all the other Hall of Famers that are here, and particularly about your contribution to the history and the legacy of Carlson High School. And again, it shows. And Ms. Schultz mentioned the fact that the concept of family is very, very important to this community and to this school, and about the importance of that. And from day one, I felt very, very welcome and honored and accepted, which is not always an easy thing, as you know. Now, naturally, there were some hesitation at times, and that's normal. But again, I certainly want to congratulate the Hall of Fame members. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and I'm not John Adams, but realizing when you look around the room, there are a lot of giants that we have right here in this room. Not just the Hall of Famers who are here, but you take a look at your families, you take a look at your parents, you take a look at your loved ones, your spouses, you take a look at your colleagues who become your dear, dear friends. And again, or people that you help to mentor. So when we do this, you got to realize they really made a difference in our lives, and that's what makes this such a wonderful night, not only for the school and the community, but for us who are obviously here tonight. We're all interconnected. Nobody had success in this room by themselves, okay? So that somebody inspired you, somebody had it, supported you, somebody still supports you and walks with you. So those who have gone before us, like our parents and our grandparents, and those who obviously, like John or Nick, it's a question of they have helped to make us into what we are. So, and the nice part about this is that we're really all interconnected because we're here, and about what that does. When I first got this job, my wife gave me some very sage advice that I certainly, almost followed a little bit, but she said to keep your mouth shut, which for me is a very difficult thing. Secondly, she said, learn the culture. And I did learn the culture. And again, I was a Grosse Ile teacher, and then I was a Woodhaven administrator, and I was an outsider looking in sometimes or dealing with, but I know a lot of these names that you're talking about, Mr. Goodhue or Mr. Baker, or people of that nature. So again, it's like, but again, I found out what this was really all about in terms of like the community, the family, the sense of that. So I did that. And then she said, establish positive relationships. And and again, it took some time to do that, but we did more than establish positive relationships. Some of you in this room have obviously become dear, dear friends, okay, of mine, and dear, dear friends of each other. And that's an extremely important thing to me. I do have to thank Eric Federico and Elton Mora and the board members at the time who hired me, gave me a chance. So, as I look at my two sisters, and they will vouch for this, it's probably like, I was taught by the same nuns that they were, and that tells you they're considerably older than I am, but so were the nuns. But I heard for a good portion of my upbringing as a small child, up until the time I was like in high school, you're nothing like your sisters. You're nothing like your sisters. You know what I think? So with that kind of positive support and drive, okay. Again, with Eric Federico and the board at the time and the committee that obviously hired me, they gave me a chance. They gave me a place where I could be planted, where I could grow. And again, I worked with people who helped, we worked together on that. So his favorite coach, as you know, is, Mr. Federico's favorite coach is? Bo Schembechler, of course. And he talked about, Schembechler always talks about the team. And that's, okay, and I'm not necessarily a Michigan fan, but I know Ron Jacobs is, and it's a question of, the question here is, it's like, yeah, we have a great team here. This is the thing that people don't realize. You have a great team, but you have to work together with me and I and whomever, but you got to put them all together. But we also, I think, took it one step a little further, because it wasn't just the team, and the team was from the top on down and the bottom on up. So, but it was about the kids. What are we going to do to make it, the impact on students? You need to provide a safe and orderly environment. We emphasize, and you heard this about 1 million times from me, collaboration, civility, and respect, okay? So I preached that till, the cows came home. And again, but what can we do in order to do what's best for our student achievement? What can we do in order to, to make it better for them? I do have to, you can tell you're getting old, as my mother always say, hell, getting old, Billy. But I need to put my glasses on because the lighting was not so great, and that's why we moved the podium. And the font I printed, I thought I could read it without my glasses, which is foolish. Anyway, so there's a few things that go into Marauder pride, and I am proud to be a Marauder, as I believe you all are. So why don't we give everybody a big hand of applause for being a Okay, and this isn't just me, it's the people I work with. And again, like I said, this looks like a faculty meeting in some cases, and you're part of the faculty right now, as you know. So we had weekly rock stars, okay, which was a great little combo for teachers to recognize kids that didn't necessarily need to be the great scholars or that, but they were empathetic, they were helpful, they were kind, they did something out of the ordinary. And that was good for it, and we did a raffle every week, and I think you still do something similar, but we did that every week, and we did it to the point where five kids' names were drawn on a weekly basis, and they were the Rocks of Gibraltar, right? Okay, so it's like, hey. But again, it was good for the teacher and for the student to build that kind of bond. I wrote a newsletter, as I know you many times are due, that for 9 years, every week, I don't think I missed a week of writing the beam, and the beam was obviously, the beam of light, but also a beam like a support for the teachers and the whole team. We had an AP program, we had one AP English class, and now if I'm looking at your curriculum, it's expanded. So we expanded the AP program while we were here, working with teachers to improve student achievement. We started in Wester Jacobs and the team that he put together with PBIS, the Positive Behavior Intervention Support Team did great, and we had Marauder captains. We did this, and I think the central office and superintendent appreciate it. We did that on a dime. We didn't spend tons of money because we didn't have tons of money to do it, but we did it, and I think that made a huge impact where older students can see, younger students can see older students as leaders. They can see them as people who obviously are to be looked up to, and that's extremely important. When it counted or mattered, we restored our North Central accreditation to our school, to the high school. And I remember as a Grosse Ile teacher being in Chicago when we were all in this big, huge room like this, and they were making an announcement, and at one point in the 80s, Carlson High School was like on a list that they lost their accreditation. It was like, wait a minute, whoa, what was that? There was like a gasp, okay? But they restored it in the 80s and 90s, and obviously we got it back, obviously when we were there. We had a successful implementation of trimesters. Okay, I just need a show of hands, okay, for those of you that are educators in the room. How many of you did not like trimesters? Please raise your hand. There you go. Okay, you can leave. Okay. So, anyway. But I realized, and we did it right. That's the other piece of that. We did it right, and you know that. So that if a kid failed something, we got right back at it, okay? And so we did that. We had a community advisory council, okay? I brought that from Woodhaven, where we had members of the community, parents, whomever, wanted to sit in and just find out what the heck's going on in the schools, okay? So we did that, and I'm very proud of that. We worked with the Rotary, okay, and the Kiwanis and and with the mayors of the cities who are here, okay, in order to make life better for our kids, or make it safe, or make it effective. We were one of the first schools in southeastern Michigan, and certainly in southeastern Wayne and Monroe County, that offered online learning. So we did that long before anybody else in this area. I think Royal Oak might have had it, but that didn't count. Okay, but anyway. Our Earth Day celebrations, and that's coming up on April 20th. We had people, with 3/4 of the schools, except the curmudgeons who didn't want to go outside. Oh, it's Earth Day. But the grounds were transformed, and you know that. So when you take a look at some of the plantings around the campus and things of that nature, we had hundreds of kids, teachers out there. We were out there. Jacobs were out there looking like Farmer Jones. Okay, and it was like, hey, Ron knows I rip him. He was my assistant for a long time. It's good. It's healthy. It's healthy. Anyway, he was, that was good. And and I know is that we were very proud of, and Gibraltar had a huge impact on this in the downriver and in southeastern Michigan. The Humbug Marsh area and the International Wildlife Refuge that is there is mainly because meetings that were held back in the 80s at Carlson High School that prevented, development of that. And so we hosted, I don't know how many, and if there's still World Wetlands Day And World Wetlands Day was a huge expo that we had at the school for kids to come in and listen to environmental groups or came in to, to learn more and learn about careers and that. So that was awesome. So much so that when we do the Rock CF run on Grosse Ile, and I have a walkie-talkie, and I work with Ray, and I work with Mr. Oakler, it's a question of my handle is Wetlands Willie, okay? So it's like, what's that? Mike Quinn's not here. He couldn't make it. He had a crisis, nothing like a crisis in those easy jobs as athletic directors. But he and I certainly, and worked with many of you on this, certainly Brenda Greer, okay, on the Downriver League was created, okay, by an initiative from Carlson High School and from what we did. We worked with others because kids were going, the girls team were going in one direction, the boys were going in another. This was it was chaos, and it was also at a time when, the budget was tough, and we had to deal with that. I am very happy to say I'm a founding father. First off, I'm very happy to say that I'm a father of 3 beautiful children and my loving wife. But it's a question of I'm a founding father of the Hall of Fame, which I think, people need to know what goes on in Gibraltar. And one of the things I did from day one, it was day one, and when I put all the teachers on the stage, and they were the rock stars, okay? And I wanted them to talk to each other, to talk about how long we were here, what you have done, and what you can do. I always preached the notion that what we wanted here is that we wanted to create a city upon a hill. Whoop, look out. A city upon a hill. And that comes from, certainly Ronald Reagan in his campaign, but it's not Reagan's thing, and this is not political, but it comes from 1630. John Bradford, who was I probably messed his name up, no, it's William, thank you, so John's his brother. Anyway, William Bradford, who made this very famous speech when they created and started the city of Boston. Wanted to be a shining example, and actually it's a shining example of Christian charity, okay, to the world. And this is has always been my vision, what we wanted to do, and that's, I think, what we have done. Doggone Catholic school upbringing. Okay, anyway, in my house, if you come to my house and you walk up the stairs, at the top of my stairs is a bronze plaque. And Andrew's mother, Marion Skricky, gave it to her many years ago when she, I think, just became an administrator herself in her own right. And that bronze plaque states, "Ancora imparo." It was Michelangelo's last words before he died, looking back on his legacy and looking back at his life. And basically, for all the things that he had done, Ancora imparo means I am still learning. And I think that's good medicine for all of us. So again, I thank you. I'm very proud to be a Marauder. And again, thank you again. And always show your Marauder pride. Thank you.
Our final inductee, as we've heard earlier, Mr. John Swearingen just recently passed. True story, I was early in my career, I think my second year, Dale Krieger came out to me, he's like, hey, you should go announce the football games. And I was like, basically, whatever Krieger said, I did. He also told me I should go to Vegas that first year for like $240 in 3 nights, and somehow it worked, I don't know. But that was just the way Krieger was. And I'm like, okay. And much like we talk about the nice turf fields now, many of you may not know Old Cudlip Field. The class of 93 knows Cudlip Field. It was not aluminum bleachers. It wasn't a big, wide press box with fancy windows and roll-up shutters. No, they were wood bleachers. And it was a wood press box, probably not much wider than one of these tables, all right? And I would be walking up there, and John would work the clock, and I would be on a little like push-to-talk microphone out of bullhorn speakers in the stadium, okay? And that's when I started working with John, the very beginning. And we were both volunteers at the time. Thankfully, through the years, the union negotiated that, hey, we need to pay these people. And we aren't millionaires off of it, believe me. And that was the thing about John and both. We did it because A, it needed to be done, but B, we enjoyed it. Larry, who wrote John's nomination, comes up into the booth with us a lot and knows we have a good time up there most nights. And have fun and enjoy it. It's a little stressful, but John was awesome at his job. He did it for football, basketball, girls and boys, volleyball scoreboard, and again, all volunteer through most of his career. And I also remember my son Nate's here, who's now a junior, but I would always bring along my kids to these games. And John would always have like candy, he'd bring candy over to my kids. My kids thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And every game. And so then like when because sometimes like you guys got to come with me, my wife was working late, and I couldn't leave them at home, and they're like, oh, but at least Mr. Swearingen will be there with some, candy. And I'd be like, yes, that's, because otherwise they're sitting behind me for 2 hours complaining. But that's just the kind of guy he was. Well-deserving, nicest guy in the world, and gave everything to the Gibraltar School District. I'm going to invite his son up now, Scott, to accept this award and say a few words.
A few words. So Mike, actually, we graduated with each other. I came from St. Mary's Rockwood, small fish, big school, graduated with 12, coming with Todd. Todd and I played basketball with each other for many years. So to clarify the first story, 1989, my freshman year, I was on the freshman basketball team. Is when he got the first job to be a scorekeeper. It's really cool. I'm playing, hearing my dad, you better start boxing out, you guys better get tougher, all these different things. And I'm like, great, my dad's here, and got friends, family back behind me, girlfriend behind me. It's really what I want to hear and try to show off for them. But we didn't show off back then. I believe Coach Max, you're way in the back there, right before you showed up was actually the first year my dad got paid. So he started, and I want to say it was at least 9 or 10 years. Back in that time, girls basketball was in the fall, boys was in the winter time. So he's out 20 games for the girls, districts, regionals, same thing with the guys. After 2 or 3 years, he became that with the football. And Mike, you're a big dude right now still. Every time we went up there back in the day, we thought we were going through that wooden floor. It's really crazy if you've ever been up there. Brenda and Max, I got to know you after I got done playing college, coming back, because not only did I get to play as my dad was keeping score, then I became a coach. So I was assistant with Max, I got to meet Brenda, and you're going to hear in a minute from Mr. Reha about the candy that he always had. We'll talk about that in a couple seconds. But it was what my dad wanted to do. Why he didn't want money, all he wanted to do was go to the games, keep score, watch the kids, encourage the kids, and be a big protector. My sophomore year, we went to River Rouge, and we got pelted by bricks going under that viaduct. And everybody's like, hey, John's here. John's going to protect us. And that's what my dad did. During some of the guys' games, we get hit with snowballs leaving certain schools, and it's like, man, we never treated these people like that. Why are we getting treated like that? But that's what my dad was for. So he always waited at the end of the bus, took the snowball as we're all trying to run and get on the snow, get on that bus too, and get home, because back in that day, first couple years, we're in the Huron League, so we're driving Monroe and Riverview, New Boston Huron. We go to the Mega League, and now we've got much farther drives, much bigger competition, a little better competition as well, back in our days as well. So huge thanks to the committee, huge thanks to Mike, 2 other people. This is rough. Mr. Reha. Found out Monday at my dad's funeral visitation. I was going to take a break. My feet were killing me from being my mom's rock. She's my rock as well. Scott, you got somebody here, and I think he's the guy that put your dad's name for the Hall of Fame. So I walk out, known Todd for plenty of years, and as soon as I see him, like, you've got to be kidding me. Mr. Reha was at every single game, if it was baseball, if it was basketball, football, he's on the sidelines. He's a great man to know, and a huge thank you for writing that nomination off for my dad. As he talked about a little bit ago, he goes, if your dad was here, I was going to bring in M&M peanuts and a big thing of Dr. Pepper. That was how my dad was, really. He wanted something from the concession stand, the bus ride, and some pop, just to keep score, run that clock, whatever it was, and then with football, obviously hot dogs and popcorn as well. And the last person I want to thank is my mom. So she allowed my dad to do this. She never, told him he couldn't. So you got to think from 1989 until about 2010 when he stopped, he was gone for every guy's game, every girl's game. Not only was it basketball, then it became football, then it became cheerleading, which Carlson is amazing at, by the way, forever. It was wrestling, it was soccer, it became every sport, and he was there just to, be a helper, because that's what he wanted to do. So thank you guys all for coming up, and congratulations to the three of you, and well-deserved. Thank you.
All right, well, that was awesome. Let's give a big hand again for all of our new inductees. It's always great to, we're provided with a packet, okay, and this is the best night. This is where the packet comes to life. And the stories we heard tonight were just amazing, and 4 well-deserved honorees that came in. Speaking of the packet, we are always looking for nominations. The packets are available on the website. They're due every year on the last school day of October, which tends to be Halloween. There's nothing spooky or crazy about it. That's just a true story. The next week we have a PD day every year, so that it gives us a good day to vote on. That's why it's Halloween, no other method. So if you know somebody, if you know a great Marauder, if you had a great coach, teacher, please fill those out. We're always looking for nominees. We have invited this class. They are invited back to Marauder Stadium on September 6th, our first home game of the year against Etzel Ford. They are going to serve as honorary captains and be honored there and take part in the coin toss at the pregame, so hopefully you can join us for that. In a second here when I'm done, we do want the new class to go out to the hallway for a group photo, and then also all current Hall of Fame members, we do this every year, all current Hall of Fame members, we'd like to do a big group photo with the new class and as well as anyone that's here tonight. We will be working on getting your plaques coming soon. We usually get it before the end of the school year, it just depends on photo, but for those of you that don't know, in the building up near the auditorium, that's where all the photo plaques go. And we put a nice photo plaque honoring everyone that stays in the school. Also, unofficially, there's an after event at Joe's Primetime, which is located on 4th Street near the bus garage, just north of the bus garage. Again, no connection to the district, it's just north of the bus garage. So, but again, how about one more big hand? Thank you, everybody. Congratulations.